Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
4748 France Court, apartment 3. My boyfriend is dead.
Now tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in his case and we were playing. And like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep and I woke up and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened.
Today I'm covering a Florida case that got national attention. Not only because the victim, George Torres, was killed in such a brutal and bizarre way by being zippered shut inside of a suitcase, but because of all the legal goings-on that occurred prior to this case ever going to trial. Then, of course, was the trial itself, where the defendant, Sarah Boone, took the stand in front of the jury to describe what she said she did out of fear.
Bottom line is I didn't want to die. I would have died, or I would have been disfigured or maimed, or if it weren't me with the bat, it would have been him if he were to have gotten out.
This is Jillian in partnership with Law and Crime. You are listening to Court Junkie, episode 281. Court Junkie is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. While you're listening to me talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you could be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $750 on average. And auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year. So you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12 months of savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. On February 23rd, 2020, at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Sarah Boone called 911 from Winter Park, a suburb of Orlando, Florida.
He has like blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know if like he had like an aneurysm or what happened.
Right, okay, all right, okay. Listen, we're getting help out there too. All right, okay. Okay,
now?
Okay, man, listen, we're on our way out there. You're at 407-716-8684. Okay, is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay, so he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Detective Chelsea Copsell was one of the first officers to arrive at the scene.
When you walk the scene, just tell us some of your observations.
So when you first enter, immediately on the right, there's like a kitchen. And then if you continue down like a very small, short hallway, it opens up to the living room / dining room area. And so when I entered, I could see the victim, George Torres, laying on the ground next to a blue suitcase.
She spoke to Sarah about what had happened the night before.
We had the bottle of wine while we were doing our arts and crafts. And from there, we were puzzled out, we were painted out. So, being silly, let's play hide and seek, which we had played before. Like, I don't know if you've opened the door on the top of the stairwell, like, he and I have hidden in there before. Like, just having fun and enjoying each other's company. Okay. So, I mean, that's literally all it was. And then the suitcase is downstairs because I was telling you we were going to do donations. And because it's not a very good suitcase, what was the question? I'm sorry.
You were just explaining to me that
he decided to hide in there. So, being silly, he and I were sitting there laughing at it, like with him in there. And then, so I didn't zip it up all the way, but I mean, enough to where his little fingers were out there and whatever, but still having a good time and whatever. Then I guess I decided to go upstairs and I don't know, I fell asleep.
According to Sarah, it had all been a tragic accident. The following day, Detective Kopsel interviewed Sarah again. The autopsy had been completed that morning, and so she questioned Sarah about injuries the medical examiner had found on George.
I have no clue. Nobody laid a hand on anybody. He also had, like on the left side of his forehead, he had basically bruising, and on like his head and skull. I have no idea. As if something hit him. I consider not touched him. I have not touched him. I have not touched him.
And how would you get those injuries?
Tell me, we'll both know. I have not touched him.
Sarah continued to tell the detectives that she had no idea what happened.
yesterday when we took photographs of your overall body, and they did the buccal swab, did they go under your fingernails?
No.
Okay. Are you willing to let us
Absolutely.
swab underneath your fingernails?
Go for it.
Okay.
I have no idea, and I don't want to seem out of sorts, but I have no idea. We had a good day. Mm-hmm. It was a good day. We've had good days lately, even considering everything that's going on with our jobs and life in general and ex-wives and everything. It's been good. Like, I don't even know where this is coming from.
Sarah said she and George had been good. The last physical incident between them was a month prior.
What do you mean by good? What's your definition of good?
The probation officer?
No, you said you guys have been good. What's your definition?
I've been good. I don't think you all understand. He comes at me all the time. He comes at me. So it's either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep.
Right, but you're saying that you guys have been good, and when I asked you yesterday, there has the last incident that you could remember was the curtain rod incident, which you said was a month ago. So,
give or take.
Right. So what do you mean by he comes after you? Like,
he gets belligerently drunk.
Sarah told them she likes to have an occasional glass of wine, but that she doesn't want to drink. She said she wasn't drunk the night before. Then Detective Kopsel played her a video they had found on her phone, one of two that would later be played in court, and that Sarah would have to answer for. George Torres died in February 2020, but Sarah's trial for second-degree murder didn't begin until October 2024. Part of the delay was initially due to the pandemic, but then as the months turned into years, Sarah ended up going through 8 different attorneys, often fighting with her own lawyers, until the judge finally denied her right to court-appointed representation. Sarah said this to the judge about one of her attorneys in the summer of 2024. She has a really nasty attitude, and I do not trust her. I don't understand what it is that she has against me. At one point, it looked like Sarah was going to represent herself, but at the last minute, she found a 9th attorney willing to represent her. She had connected with her new attorney after he saw her hand-drawn flyer that read, "Inmate seeks attorney, looking for a prosperous challenge? Ready for your close-up on national television? Are you zealous with a side of keen?" By then, the judge had grown tired of the more than 15 delays in the case and pushed for a trial date. It was scheduled for October 7th, 2024. But just as the trial was about to begin, Hurricane Milton struck. Once again, Sarah's trial was pushed back. Finally, October 18th, the trial began in a downtown Orlando courtroom. Assistant State Attorney William J. gave the opening statements for the state. He told the jury that the evidence will show that Sarah zipped George, who was 103 pounds, into a suitcase and that she did it with malicious intent to punish him. He told the jury that it's unknown how long it took for George to die inside the suitcase, but he said they know that he was alive, trapped in there for at least 15 minutes from 2 videos Sarah had taken with her phone. Prosecutor Jay said it was clear that Sarah and George were both very intoxicated that night. Investigators had recovered 2 empty 1.5 liters of wine from her trash can. Just one of those containers was the equivalent of 2 standard wine bottles. He told the jury at the end of the day, when they hear all of the evidence, including from Sarah herself, they will return a guilty verdict. Although Sarah had initially told detectives that what she did had been an accident, Sarah's defense attorney told the jury that something else had been going on. In his opening statements, James Owens described Sarah and George as a couple who were down and out and struggling with their alcohol addictions that kept them from getting and keeping jobs. They were codependent on each other.
As codependent as you can be towards each other. And you're going to learn with all that was domestic violence. And that George Torres physically abused Sarah Boone. And she suffered from the effects, the psychological effects that one suffers from repeat violence from an intimate partner. They were together over 3 years, and there were several prior incidences of violence. We've got the photographs. There were incidences where police were called who took photographs. So you're going to be able to see the evidence. And we believe the court will instruct you at the end when you're considering self-defense, which we call justifiable use of non-deadly force or justifiable use of deadly force, that you can consider the prior acts, the history of violence, the prior difficulties that the parties had. And considering her set of circumstances that she was faced with in making the decision to use reasonable force under the circumstances. And the most important thing I can tell you here today is keep an open mind. There's 2 sides to every story.
One of the first witnesses for the state was Juan Torres, George's younger brother. He said at the time George died, George was living with Sarah. Juan was asked what his relationship with Sarah was like, and he said they didn't really have one. He agreed it would be fair to say he didn't get along with her. On February 23rd, 2020, he talked to George on the phone in the evening. His brother was just calling him to check up on him.
Now, in the background of that conversation on the evening of February 23rd, 2020, what did you hear?
Sarah's in the background yelling.
And you recognized her voice?
Yes.
What was she yelling about?
Something about choking or how he choked her. I really don't. That was it.
About how long was this conversation that you had?
Maybe 10 minutes, I think it was.
How did the conversation end?
Because she was yelling in the background, so that was it. We just went out.
Did she sound upset?
She sounded upset.
Did you talk to your brother after that conversation?
No, that was the last conversation I had.
He said he hasn't spoken to Sarah since then either. Vincent Battaglia testified that in February 2020, he was living with a roommate at the Teal Wood Apartments in Winter Park. Sarah and George were his neighbors. He testified that the walls were very thin, and he could hear arguing and yelling coming from Sarah and George's apartment almost daily.
Did Sarah Boone ever approach you about the things that you heard coming from their apartment?
Yes.
And where were you when she approached you?
I was smoking a cigarette on my back patio.
And approximately what time?
It was pretty late. I can't remember the exact time, but it was definitely anywhere between like midnight to 2 a.m., like right around there.
And do you remember how much before the date when the police called that this occurred?
A few months, probably 4 to 5 months before that.
So 4 or 5 months before February of 2020.
Yeah.
And when she approached you on this late evening / early morning on that day, what did she tell you?
Pretty much just kind of like, if I do hear anything, like through the walls or whatever is out back, just kind of keep my mouth shut. Like, don't really speak about it or anything like that or say anything to anyone. And I just was like, okay.
Did she make any motions with her hands?
Yeah, like just kind of like, finger over the lips, like kind of shh, like keep it hush, like that kind of thing.
So she told you not to report anything you may have heard about arguments or yelling or fighting, anything going on over there?
Yeah.
He recalled that on the evening of February 23rd, 2020, he heard a very, very loud noise that was powerful enough to shake his bedroom wall.
I remember that because I was sitting on my bed on FaceTime with my girlfriend at the time, and I literally felt the wall shake and it stopped me mid-conversation. And she even asked me through the computer, like, what was that? And I was like, I have no idea.
Did you hear any yelling coming from their apartment on that night?
Before that, yeah, like it was just arguing kind of stuff.
What was the last thing you heard?
The last thing I heard was like the loud noise and just a little bit of shuffling, and that was kind of it. It just kind of went silent after that.
Could you hear anything that was being said?
Not clearly, and it was never really anything clear. It was just like you could hear arguing back and forth, just kind of like like an I hate you, like it's whatever it is, whatever the argument was about kind of thing. At the time, that's really all it was, but it was never really clear enough to hear like the full argument. And honestly, I never really paid attention too much to it. If I heard it, I kind of stepped into my living room to be further away from it.
He said he heard both Sarah's and George's voices. On cross, he said the argument was pretty intense around 10:30 p.m. Vincent's roommate Brandon described for the jury what he heard on the night of February 23rd. He said the walls were pretty thin and that he would hear arguments and disagreements often.
How often would you hear arguments or disagreements going on over there?
When I first moved in, it was it was at least like once a week, to the point that I started tuning them out. Like I got good enough at just like not listening to them. They argued very, very often.
On February 23rd, he heard them argue around 7 or 8 o'clock. Around 10:30 or 11, he heard a loud crash.
Can you describe that sound for us in more detail?
Literally, like I said, at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, it's the way their staircase was set up. I could, my bedroom, the top of their staircase would have been like above my ceiling. It ends next to where like my roommate's apartment was. So I could hear something start above me super loud and then fall away from me like it was falling down the stairs.
On cross, he was asked about a conversation he had with Sarah one day when he was locked out of his apartment.
I was like waiting on the steps outside of my apartment for my roommate to get home. So she came up and started talking to me. I don't really remember too many like details of what she was saying because I didn't want to talk to her. But yeah.
Okay. You remember saying that you believe Sarah was avoiding going into her apartment?
That's definitely the vibe. I don't remember what she was saying, but like the vibe she was giving off was that she didn't want to go home.
We'll get into more testimony right after this quick break from today's sponsors. It's hard to believe, but the holiday season is almost upon us. That means potentially spending time with loved ones, maybe eating really great homemade food, and one of my favorite things, shopping for presents. Last year, I gifted some of my girlfriends and family members some of my favorite things from SKIMS. And now that their holiday shop has launched, I'm about to go through and do it again. One for them, one for me. Another thing I love to do over the holidays is dress up myself and my husband and kids in matching Christmas pajamas and do a little photo shoot. This year, we are all wearing SKIMS because I just saw that they have the most adorable sleep sets for kids. Not to mention, when it's cold outside, I typically work from home, and guess what I just love wearing? My soft lounge sleep sets from SKIMS. I have a really cute red one as well as a gray one. Perfect for over the holidays. Shop SKIMS Holiday Shop at skims.com. Available in styles for women, men, kids, and even pets. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know I sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and then select Port Junkie in the drop-down menu that follows. That's the holiday shop at skims.com. Sarah Boone didn't immediately call 911 when she woke up on the morning of February 24th, 2020, and discovered that George had died while in the suitcase. She first called her ex-husband, Brian Boone. Brian took the stand in Sarah's trial and told the court that he and Sarah had dated for over 10 years before getting married and having a son. They divorced in 2017. He said per their custody arrangement, Sarah would have their son on Mondays and Tuesdays, and he would have him on Wednesdays and Thursdays. They would alternate weekends. During the late evening on Sunday, February 23rd, he got a phone call from Sarah.
Do you recall about what time she called you?
I think it was 11 something.
When you answered the phone, how did Sarah sound on the phone?
She sounded like she had been drinking, was pretty drunk.
Were you able to understand what the defendant was saying?
Somewhat, but she woke me up. I had work the next day. I was asleep when she called. She's done this before, calling me late at night, and generally I kind of just try to ignore it, so I wasn't really paying attention.
Who was she living with at the time?
George Torres.
When she called you late that evening, could you hear George in the background at all?
Not that I remember, no.
Did you pay much attention to this phone call?
No.
The following morning, he tried calling Sarah at about 11 a.m. He had dropped off their son at school and wanted to find out if she would be picking him up afterwards. He said she wasn't generally good about getting him on the days she was supposed to. It was about 12:30 before he finally talked to her.
And when you actually got in touch with her, what did she tell you on the phone?
That George was dead, and if I would come over.
Did she say what happened to him?
I don't remember if she told me then on the phone or when I got there, but she told me they had been playing hide and seek and that she fell asleep.
What did you advise her to do?
I told her she needed to call 911 and that I would come over as soon as I could.
He said she called him again while he was on his way to see if he was still coming. He said he told her again that she needed to call 911 and that he was on the way.
When you arrived at her apartment, tell us what she told you when you arrived.
George was dead, and I don't remember if she told me now or before that they had been playing hide and seek and she fell asleep. But I, at that time, told her again she needed to get 911 called to get somebody over there.
Had she called 911 at this point?
No, she had not.
So you've advised her now 3 times to call 911?
Yes.
Did you go inside of her apartment?
I walked in the front door into the little tiled area, like entranceway thing.
What, if anything, did you observe when you made it to that point?
Looking into the living room, I could see like the end of his feet and maybe a little bit of some legs that were kind of coming out around the backside of the kitchen area.
Did you continue to go into the apartment?
No.
Where did you go?
Sarah told me she was going to call 911 and go outside and have a cigarette and a drink and asked me to come out there with her. And I told her that I didn't really feel comfortable being inside. And I went out front and got in my car and waited for people to show up.
He stayed there until the police arrived. He said he knew he would have to talk to them. Abraham Moreno was the maintenance supervisor at Tealwood Apartments. On February 24th, he was called to go to Sarah's unit. She was sitting outside when he arrived.
And when she was sitting outside of her unit, what, if anything, did you observe about her and about the unit?
The police was there. Her ex-husband was present. She was sitting outside, and that's when she decided she wanted to talk to me and the managers.
And what did she tell you?
That she's confused. She's not exactly sure what happened. She pointed out that she recalls that they were playing a game of hide and seek. There was an instance where she was going to teach him a lesson, and then she just doesn't recall anything else until the next morning.
Did she say she fell asleep?
Yes, she did.
Did she say things got out of hand?
I don't really recall that part, but I do recall her stating that they were playing their game and that George went into a suitcase, and I didn't ask any questions. I just let her talk for herself.
How long was this conversation?
For about 4 or 5 minutes.
John Martinez, a deputy sheriff with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, described what he saw when he first went into the apartment.
When I first entered the apartment, I noticed a Hispanic male laying on his back in looks like a small nook dining area. Later identified Mr. George Torres.
His body cam video was played for the court. In it, Sarah tells him that it was not intentional.
This was totally, not intentional. That's what I was scared about, too.
Melissa Ruffgarden, a crime scene investigator with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, removed 2 wine bottles and 3 receipts from the trash can in Sarah's kitchen. She also collected a wooden baseball bat that had been leaning up against the wall for evidence. A close-up photo of the suitcase was shown to the jury. There were no zipper pulls on either zipper, just a small wire of some sort. The contents of the suitcase were also shown. Inside were miscellaneous papers, some clothing items, and apparent blood.
What apparent blood was inside the suitcase?
It was observed on the white cap and a necktie, and there was also visible blood just on the interior of the suitcase.
She testified that she collected buccal swabs from the inside of Sarah's mouth and photographed her. She said Sarah never indicated to her that she had any injuries. On cross, she said there was no DNA analysis done on the swabs of blood taken from inside the suitcase.
Now, you authored a report in this matter, did you not?
Yes.
And that report was utilized, if you in fact know, by the medical examiner in developing her autopsy report, was it not?
I do not know.
In your report, did you advise the medical or whomever might read your report that in fact the body had been removed from the suitcase by first offenders or first responders?
No, I don't believe so.
And we know that you have the capacity to do DNA analysis, correct?
No, we process DNA or collect swabs for DNA, and then that's submitted to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for conventional DNA analysis.
You did that with a sample from the inside of Sarah Boone's mouth.
Her buccal swabs were submitted to the FDLE.
And who made that decision?
The detective and I.
Who made the decision not to bother to do a DNA analysis on the blood from the items within the suitcase or the suitcase itself?
That was a discussion between the detective and I.
And you chose not to do that?
No, we did not.
You assumed that the blood inside the suitcase belonged to George Torres, correct?
There was blood observed in the suitcase.
But you don't know who that belonged to because you didn't bother to analyze it or have it analyzed, correct?
The blood was not tested.
As for the baseball bat, she agreed that there was also no analysis done on the bat to check for fibers, to see whether anyone had been hit with it.
Did you photograph holes in the wall, possibly made by the victim?
I don't recall photographing holes in the wall, no.
Did you take photographs of items within the house or throughout the house that may have depicted incidents of prior violence?
You'll have to be more specific.
How about bloody pillowcases? Did you make any effort to collect and analyze pillowcases of the rooms that you were photographing?
No.
On redirect, she said that if she had seen any holes in the walls, she would have documented them. She said George had blood coming from his nose and mouth, as well as some other defects noted on his body. She reiterated that she didn't see any wounds or cuts on Sarah. Dr. Sarah Zagovich, forensic pathologist, was asked how long George was in the suitcase.
There's not a really good way for me to give you a time frame as to how long he was in that suitcase. Again, because there was both the component of positional asphyxia, being in an unusual position for a period of time, and then also the environmental suffocation component. Because within that suitcase, certainly there's going to be oxygen, but it's not going to be the same as if you were sitting in a room like this. And because there are those multiple components happening at the same time, there's not a really good way to estimate or say with scientific certainty, oh, he was in for X amount of time. There's really not a good way to do that.
She said she can't determine the time he died either. She told the jury he was most likely in a fetal position, but she didn't see what position he was in. She said he was most likely laying on his left side. She noted multiple injuries to George's body.
So, ma'am, on this body chart, can you describe for us and point out what was the first blunt impact injury that you identified?
So there were some blunt impact injuries to his head. I don't think it's on this one, but there were some blunt impact injuries to his head right up here around the eye and on the mouth area.
And then, did you notate any injuries to his hand?
Yes, so there were some ecchymoses, or you can think of that as like a large kind of bruise on both hands.
What other blunt impact injuries did you identify?
So there was a series of ecchymoses on the left side of the back, which right about here.
And any others?
There were some on the forearms as well.
She was asked if his injuries were consistent with being struck with a baseball bat, and she said they could be, yes. She said she couldn't give an exact number of impacts, but at least 5 to 6, most likely more than that.
Can you say whether or not these injuries occurred while George Torres was in the suitcase?
No.
Why is it that you cannot say that?
So all of these injuries seem to have occurred around the same time, meaning that they're relatively acute or new. They're not things that are healing or something that happened last week. So they all occurred around the same time. But you can't really look at a bruise or a contusion and say, oh, that happened 2 hours ago. There's not a good way to do that.
Are these injuries consistent with them occurring while he was inside the suitcase?
Yes, they could be.
She said his blood alcohol content was 0.139, and he had caffeine and nicotine in him. Text messages from Christmas 2019 were read to the jury. George's brother Mo texted Sarah, telling her he didn't want her around the kids anymore. Sarah responded, "Ugh, your dad," in quotes, "hit me in the face." Then she wrote, "Hide and seek, I shall." Then, "Love your girls." Text messages from January 13th, 2020 were then read to the jury. These were from about 5 p.m. Sarah sent a text message to a group chat that included Mo and her ex-husband, Brian Boone. "Keep the fugly creep out too," she wrote. And, "It's still fugly." Then, "Lose." Mo then wrote, "Please do something with yourself, Sarah. God bless you." Sarah responded, "And bless you and all of you too. I'll get rid of him." And then she wrote, "Then I'll be better." Then she wrote, "Ugh." And then, "Torres." The prosecutor then played videos Sarah had taken of George while he was in the suitcase. I'm not going to play the audio from the actual videos because I think it's very disturbing. But here's what the prosecutor said about the videos in his opening statements.
From a video that began at 11:12 p.m., 45 seconds, on February 23rd, 2020, in Orange County, Florida, is a suitcase on the ground, face down, with the zippers facing the floor. You will hear Sarah. The defendant will say, "For everything you've done to me." Sarah. "For everything you've done to me." Sarah. "Fuck you." And then the defendant laughs. Sarah. "Fuck you." And the defendant laughs. Sarah. "Stupid." Sarah. "That's my name. Don't wear it out." Sarah. "I can't fucking breathe, baby. Seriously." "Yeah. That's what you do when you choke me." Sarah. 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 The defendant laughs again. Sarah, "I can't breathe, babe." She laughs again. "That's on you." Sarah, "I can't breathe." She laughs again. Unintelligible words. And I would submit the evidence is going to show, because of the intoxication from alcohol, is the next thing she says. Sarah, I can't breathe, baby. That's what I feel like when you cheat on me. Sarah, fuck you. I can't fucking breathe, Sarah. You should probably shut the fuck up. Sarah, shh, is the last thing you will hear the defendant say to Mr. Torres as he is face down, zipped shut in a suitcase.
That first video lasted for just over 2 minutes. Then at 11:23, there's a second 22-second video. It's Sarah zooming in on the suitcase, and all you hear is George saying, Sarah, one more time. Sarah gave multiple interviews to detectives. At one point, Detective Chelsea Copsell played the videos they had found on Sarah's phone to her. Sarah said she didn't remember taking them.
Do I have to watch this? I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it. That's okay.
Well, it's on your phone, and you can either explain it or we take it for what it is.
Yeah. We're just trying to give you the opportunity to tell us what's going on. That's it.
Sarah maintained that she had left the suitcase open a bit and that his fingers were sticking out. Detective Copsell said they don't see any holes in the suitcase and pointed out that it looks like it's zipped the entire way.
But why is he saying I can't breathe, and why is he pushing on it as if he can't get out?
It doesn't show a hole.
There's no hole. There's no fingers. I don't see his fingers. There's no hole.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know, what you want me to tell you.
I'm just telling you what we see and what we've heard from the other video.
I understand.
He's begging for you to let him out. You're laughing in the beginning, and then in the end, it sounds kind of like
no, it's not malicious.
Well, saying fuck you.
It's not malicious.
Then what is that?
What does fuck you mean to you?
Well,
if I were to tell my
let's see that. I get told everything by a white woman, so my intention was not to leave him in there. Please understand that. My intention was not to leave him in there.
But you went upstairs thinking that he could get himself out, but the video shows
that's why I told you.
I see his fingers.
He'll be out there any minute.
And then 30 minutes later, he didn't show.
And he's telling me.
And I didn't wake up.
Do you think he's joking? You told me he was laughing, and
we were.
But the video, there's no.
We first got in there. Both of us were.
So how long was he in there for? This video is at 11:12 when it starts. So was he in there for a long time prior to recording this?
No.
Sarah said she thought George was just crying wolf.
So pushing up on a suitcase saying, Sarah, I can't breathe.
George has done that in the past before, too, where it's just he thinks that he's woe is me kind of thing, where it's
he's never been locked in the suitcase, but now he's going to get up. So
it's I thought it was the boy crying wolf kind of thing.
Okay.
And again,
but nowhere in there is he laughing, is he joking, he is begging. And you're the only one laughing.
Okay.
And you're the only one saying derogatory comments. You're mad.
No. Please don't. I don't mean to sound negative, and I don't know if I can say this, but it's like you guys are kind of trying to feed me.
No, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said.
Well, I know what.
You know what's on that video now?
No.
You remember making that video?
No.
Why don't you remember making the video?
Probably because we had been drinking.
But you weren't drunk.
Just because I went upstairs and just because you're drunk doesn't mean that
you were not drunk. You said that you had your wits about you. You said he had his wits about you.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you don't like not having your wits. In my experience, if somebody cannot remember doing something to the extent of making 2 videos and a video and taking a photo, They are intoxicated.
Okay. I understand where you all are coming from.
Well,
I get it.
We're trying to figure out what
We're trying to
you're saying.
figure out this
You're
video.
explaining it to us. We're listening.
I just did. Like, we were playing, and then, like, I thought it was... My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to... He'll be up here any minute.
But you willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs. And
My plan was also to leave him in the suitcase.
So why didn't you take him out?
Because I went upstairs, and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think he's asking to come out?
I didn't do it intentionally.
At the end of the interview, other officers came in and swabbed her for evidence. Afterwards, they placed her under arrest.
You just turn around, face the wall. Put your hands behind your back. Do you have anything in your pockets that I should know about?
No.
Okay.
Why is this happening?
Because George is dead.
Not intentionally. We understand that.
He's still dead.
Well, we don't. Someone needs to call Brian, please. Okay. Or can I not make a phone call?
You'll be able to make a phone call when you get down to the jail.
So why is this happening? So this was a trick.
No, it's not. How's it a trick? I was here to ask you to explain a few things to us. And
You were right, you're right.
your response to everything was basically, I didn't do it.
Intentionally.
Okay, that doesn't matter. It's still there.
When it was time for the defense to present their case, Sarah Boone took the stand.
All right, ma'am, you could take a seat. And if you could, state and spell your name for the record for us.
Sarah Boone, 10-10-77.
Sarah described for the jury how she met George Torres. One day when she needed to get some air, she went out and had a beer at a local bar, and that's where she first met him. She was in the process of separating from her husband, Brian. She was asked how she and George got along when they first met.
Very well. It was strange how quickly we hit things off and had so much in common, and I never thought that he would be interested in someone like me, and I just couldn't believe that he was actually interested in me and said a lot of nice things, and 1 hour ended up being 4 hours from when we had first met, and then we would always have something to talk about.
Why couldn't you believe that he would be interested in you?
He was very handsome. He was very funny. He was smart, and I would show up in workout clothes and disheveled hair, and I guess I kind of felt broken from being in the process of the divorce that he knew about. But then one of the things that we could relate also was the fact that he was here in Florida because he had just been divorced from his second wife. So that was another topic that he and I could compare notes on.
Similar to what she told police about the night of February 23rd, Sarah testified that she and George worked on a 1,000-piece puzzle and then did a little painting together. They turned on music. They drank wine.
At one point, I guess he knew that I couldn't come up with anything else, tapped me on my knee and said, "You're it." So from there, I ran up the stairs and hid into our shower, just waiting for him to find me so we could hopefully go to sleep soon at some point. And
Your shower, is it a tub or just a walk-in?
it's a tub, but it's in the master bedroom, and you have to go all the way upstairs, you have to go in the bedroom, and then you have to go into the bathroom part, and then there's the shower part.
So did you lay down in the tub?
At one point, yes, I was.
So you were hiding?
I was trying.
Okay. And did you believe that he was going to come try to find you?
Yes.
Did you wait?
Yes, for quite some time.
All right. Then what did you decide to do?
That I decided that I need to go to sleep. I'm picking my son up the next day, and we need to start wrapping up the evening. And I went downstairs to find where he was.
And what I think the jury has seen pictures of your, would you call it an apartment or
It's considered a townhome.
a townhome? So you walk down the stairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom of the stairs is a bookshelf here?
Yes, at the very end of it, yes.
Okay. So you walk down the stairs and you turn and look in the living room. What did you see?
I don't even think I made it all the way down the stairwell because I was just looking for him as soon as I could to hopefully go upstairs as soon as we could. And I looked over and I saw him settling himself in the suitcase.
She said George's suitcase had been out from a trip he had recently taken to see his kids. She said it was falling apart, so they had decided they were going to donate it.
It's a pretty big suitcase.
Yes.
How big is George?
George was my height. And
How tall are you?
I'm 5'3".
Okay. And how much did George weigh?
I thought it was 100 pounds.
Okay. And how much did you weigh?
I was 98 pounds.
All right. Do you agree you put on some weight?
Since I've been incarcerated, yes.
Well, at the time, though, y'all were pretty skinny.
Yes.
So from the pictures, it looks like y'all were both pretty thin.
Yes.
All right. So because of his thinness, is that how? And he's a small man.
Yes.
Okay. So he was able to get in the suitcase on his own.
Yes.
Did he willingly get in the suitcase?
He was already in there.
Okay. When you got to him, did he see you?
Yes.
All right. Tell us what happened.
I just I zipped him up. We thought it was funny. And we're joking about how he was, I guess, small enough to fit inside of the suitcase.
All right. So what happened then?
From there, it was just, we were laughing about it. And it was just strange that he was small enough to fit in there. And then I kind of moved it around a little bit with him in the suitcase still. It was still funny that he was still in the suitcase. Just, I think he and I were just kind of couldn't believe that he could fit in the suitcase.
Did you eventually close the top?
Yes, the top was already closed. As he was settling himself in there, that's how I knew he was in there, was because the top was kind of flopping a little bit.
Okay. So he had gotten in there to hide, and he pulled the top.
Yes.
On top of it. But you could tell he was in there.
Yes.
You saw him right away.
Yes.
She testified that watching the videos she had taken with her phone refreshed her memory of what happened next.
Could you just tell the jury what you were feeling? What your feelings were at the time, and then explain that to the jury. You talked about it before. You said he was in that confined space and it was my chance, but do you want to elaborate on that? Or?
Sure. I want you all to know that the majority of the time, am always afraid and always scared.
All right, well, I understand that. Okay, I understand that. But would it be fair to say that you had some anger at that point?
I did.
Would it be fair to say that you wanted to tell him off to some degree?
I just wanted, yes, for him to have a better understanding, which was the whole point of the videos and documentation prior.
And you could tell that he was uncomfortable.
I'm guessing.
And did you want him to feel some uncomfort?
I did.
Okay. Now, at some point, you turned off the video.
Yes.
And then we saw a second video, which was approximately 11 minutes later. And you've seen that video. It was played to the jury. It was 22 seconds long.
Yes.
And I don't think you speak in that video. You hear George say Sarah one time.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So between the 2-minute video and the 22-second video is an 11-minute period. Would you tell the jury what happened?
We continued to, I guess, speak to one another, and his tone changed, and I knew the tone, and we ended up, I guess, arguing back and forth with one another, and it was the things that he was saying very much frightened me, and cursing at me and threatening me. And
did he want you to let him out of the suitcase?
I'm sure so.
She said it then got heated very quickly.
He continued to push on the suitcase, and my fear was that he was going to break out of the suitcase knowing that it was a broken suitcase. And his hand started to come through. His hand started to come through this way. And so I shook the suitcase. Trying to get his hand to go back in, shaking it, and telling him that, please stop doing this. Please stop doing this to me. Please stop doing this to me.
So his hand actually got out of the suitcase?
Yes.
And you went to the suitcase?
Yes.
And shook it?
Yes.
Did that force his hand to go back in?
No.
So you're shaking it. Were you shaking it to try to get the suitcase, his hand back in?
Yes.
How long did you shake it?
I don't know.
But his hand was still out?
Yes.
Was he trying to get out?
Forcefully, yes.
Was he angry at you?
Yes.
She said she was worried what he would do if he got out.
Were you in fear?
Always.
If he would have gotten out of the suitcase, what would he have done to you?
Like he used to tell me, he probably would have made me unrecognizable, or I would have lost my life.
Sarah told the jury he was actively trying to get out. That's when she grabbed her son's baseball bat, which had been leaning against the dining room table, and swung at George's hand.
Did you hit the outside part of his hand?
Yes.
We've seen the photographs of his left hand. Did you cause the bruising there?
I'm guessing yes.
Now, you've seen the bat. It's a youth bat?
Yes, I bought it for my son.
Is this the bat you used?
Yes.
And you said you poked him with it?
Yes, I kind of pushed, like I held it with the skinny part here, and then
So the grip here.
Brought it at it, yes.
You grabbed it with both hands here.
Yes.
And then the barrel of the bat, the big part of the bat is here.
Correct.
And you thrusted it into the different areas of the suitcase?
I started with his hand, and his hand, he was still trying to get out. He was still trying to do that. So I started to push on the suitcase around it, hoping to have his hand retract and go back inside.
You made those injuries.
I did.
We've seen the photographs.
Yes.
We see the bruising. Is that from that bat?
Yes.
Eventually, did his hand go back inside from you doing?
Yes, finally he had subsided and retracted his hand.
So in your mind, did you prevent him from attacking you?
Absolutely. Split-second decision.
Now, once he retracted his hand, do you remember zipping it up some? Or what did you do in relation? Because he was upside down, was he not, at that point?
Yes.
At some point, you flipped him back up.
I did.
Tell how that happened.
He wasn't cursing. He wasn't threatening. His hand was inside foremost. There was no more of him trying to break through the suitcase. So I felt safe enough to turn it back over. It wasn't happening anymore.
That's when she went back to the couch and recorded the second video, where George says her name one time. Sarah testified that she believed George could still breathe inside the suitcase, and that she had left enough room for him to now get out. She then went upstairs. Sarah testified at length about the 3.5 years they were together and about the domestic violence she experienced. The photos of some of her graphic injuries were shown to the jury. She said George hit her legs so hard once that they bruised and that he pulled her hair and strangled her. In another incident, he slapped a hot bowl of soup out of her hand, which caused second-degree burns on her leg. He wielded a butcher knife, and once he stabbed her after she made a steak dinner for him. The blood spurted out like a fountain, she said. In that incident, she begged him to call 911. She finally drove herself to the hospital and had to undergo surgery. Today, she still has the scar on her leg. Her attorney asked her why she stayed.
As anyone who has ever been in love, or when you love someone, or primarily someone or something, you go above and beyond, and you tolerate and you endure and you persevere, and you try to make that person as spectacular as you possibly can, no matter the sacrifice that you may have to go through to serve someone else in a positive light so they can be better people for themselves, and to just make them a happier person. And love is very strong, and love is very deep. And love, I believe, is not fully understood in a lot of ways for how different people react to it. And I very much, deeply, and passionately love George.
She said she lied to the police about what happened and to basically everyone because she was extremely fearful of being arrested. She said she had been one of the prior times she had called 911 to report that George was being abusive.
So you made a decision to lie.
I did.
Did you stay with that lie?
I did.
Are you telling the truth today?
I am.
Her attorney told her that the bruises they saw on George looked pretty deep. He asked her to tell the jury what she was thinking.
I didn't want to die that night.
On cross-examination, the prosecutor asked if George ever mentioned anyone named Crystal. She said no.
Did you ever mention Crystal in your text messages about being one of his bitches?
Don't know. I don't remember.
How about Christine? Did George know a Christine?
I don't know.
How about a Pamela Erickson?
These may have been people that he was communicating with on whatever the platform was.
On your phone?
I believe so, yes.
And did you find these communications?
I believe I found one or two of them from some of them.
And did you send a long letter to his family to relay to him about George and his girls that he was cheating on you with?
I believe so.
Okay, so you do know those names, right?
I don't remember them. It's been however long.
He asked her if she called 911 at about 1 p.m. the following day and asked if she was feeling intoxicated at that time, and she said she was in shock.
So you agree that you previously stated, I was still, I believe, intoxicated to a degree?
To a degree, yes.
Okay. So 1 p.m., it's about 14 hours after 11 p.m. the night before, correct?
I'm guessing so.
All right. Well, 12 hours prior would be 1 a.m., and then 12 a.m. is 13 hours, 11 p.m. is 14 hours, correct?
Okay.
And you were present here for the medical examiner, Dr. Zadovich, to testify, correct?
Yes.
And you heard her talk about all the effects of ethanol that it has on the human body, correct?
Yes.
And she also mentioned something that it, on average, dissipates at about 0.015 an hour. Do you recall that?
I believe so.
Okay.
He asked her how long after she zipped George into the suitcase did she start the video. She said she doesn't know.
Your testimony was that after that first video was captured by your phone and you, Mr. Torres began getting angry and trying to push his way out, correct?
Say it one more time, please.
Between these two movies, of which there's about 9 minutes and 14 seconds, Mr. Torres begins to get angry and try and push his way out and get out of the suitcase, correct?
He had been angry on and off throughout the entire day.
Okay. You didn't tell us that earlier. You said it was a wonderful, fun day all day, correct?
That's because I lived.
Okay. But you did not tell us earlier today that he had been angry throughout the day.
When would I say that?
You described your entire day of doing puzzles and arts and crafts and outside by the dartboard, and you said it was a wonderful day and everything was fun until he was in the suitcase. Did you not testify to that earlier today?
I did.
Okay. My specific question between these two movies is, this is when he begins to get angry and trying to push his way out and to get out of the suitcase, correct?
Angry again, yes.
Okay. And he was expressing his anger in what manner? How did he say this?
At which point throughout the day?
Ma'am, you know very well that I'm talking about between these movies. Please answer my question. Between these two movies, how did he express his anger with you?
Told me that I was going to fucking die.
Okay. Now this is happening after he's already told you several times he cannot breathe in the suitcase, correct?
Correct.
And he's been in there for whatever brief amount of time it took you to zip him up, and the laughter stops, and then you go over and begin to film, correct?
Yes.
And you're filming. Your purpose of filming is to kind of teach him a lesson. This is your chance to say something to him when he can't say anything back to you, correct?
No.
Then correct me.
There was no lesson to be learned. It was just I wanted him to try to understand how I felt so maybe he could progress in being a better person the next day.
So you wanted him to understand how you felt in the past, and that's not teaching a lesson?
I just wanted him to understand.
Okay.
The prosecutor showed her a photo of the suitcase she had taken on her phone at 11:03 that night. She said she didn't remember taking it.
What is your memory of what happens between 11:03 p.m. and 31 seconds when that image is captured, and then when the movie starts at 11:12:45? What do you remember?
I don't.
Okay. Do you remember anything from that night?
I do.
You told the police on February 25th, 2020, when they first showed you the video, that you didn't remember taking that. Do you remember that?
I do.
And your testimony is you do remember taking that video.
I do.
But you don't remember taking that photograph 9 minutes prior.
Correct.
Is there something, did you have more to drink in those 9 minutes?
I did not.
She agreed that she lied to police about George's injuries and that she had inflicted them on him. He asked her about how she had testified on direct that George had dragged her down the stairs the night before.
All right, it's your testimony that you did not push him down the stairs, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, it was him that dragged you down the stairs the night before, correct?
Yes.
Now, by dragged, did you leave your feet?
Yes.
And did you get scrapes on your knees or anywhere from the carpet?
I'm not sure. I don't.
Did you get any injuries, like bruises or abrasions or scrapes?
I was missing a lot of my hair. Yes, that was on the stairwell.
Okay. And you agree that you were photographed on February 24th when the police came out, correct?
The day of the incident?
Well, the afternoon after the incident. We're not sure when he passed.
Yes.
He asked her about the rules they followed when they played hide and seek.
He says, tag, you're it, but you run and go upstairs and hide, right?
Yes.
So does that mean he's it and he's supposed to come find you?
No.
Okay. So you both hide?
No.
Okay. How does this work?
I don't know how to tell you.
Okay.
I was it, and I went ahead.
I mean, my understanding of the rules of hide and seek is one person will be it, cover his or her eyes and count to like 20 and then go find the person that's hiding. Is that your familiarity with the rules too, or do you guys have house rules? Cool.
I understand how the hide and seek
So explain to me, what was your expectation? You go up to the shower. Were you expecting him to come find you?
I was.
Okay.
The prosecutor had Sarah stand up and go to the front of the room. He took out a suitcase and opened it, asking her to demonstrate where George's body was positioned inside. He then asked her to show him where she had left it open and where she said his hands had been sticking through. She pointed to near the top corner.
And so once he was zipped into there, there's some amount of time, but you don't remember specifically before you start taking the 2-minute video, correct?
Yes.
And then that's when you say what you say, and that's when he says what he says. We've all heard it, correct? And then between there and that second video of the 22 seconds length, it's at this point where he's beginning to get angry. And then that's when you take the baseball bat that's in evidence, and your testimony is to start poking him with the end of it.
Did you say this was the second video?
Between the two videos, that's when you started hitting him with the bat because he was getting angry and trying to escape, correct?
Right, I was not hitting him. Yes.
Okay. Did you ever hit him with the bat while he was outside of the suitcase?
No.
So each time that he is hit with the bat, it's through this suitcase. And that's what leaves the marks on him, because you didn't hit him with the bat outside the suitcase, correct?
Yes, if you'd like me to demonstrate.
No, that's okay. The suitcase will speak for itself. And then you take the second video and you go upstairs and go to bed, correct?
I apparently went upstairs and I used the phone to make a phone call.
Okay.
And then I fell asleep.
All right. And at the point in time when you left and went upstairs, he was still inside the suitcase, correct?
Correct.
The defense also called Dr. Julie Harper to the stand. Dr. Harper is a psychologist who met with Sarah 9 times and reviewed her history. She testified that Sarah had been suffering from battered spouse syndrome.
The diagnosable condition would be PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. That's how a clinician would label the response to trauma. The pattern between partners, the person's coping mechanism because of that trauma, that would be what's considered battered spouse or battered partner syndrome.
And you're aware that concept of being traumatized by the battered spouse syndrome or the post-traumatic stress is relevant to a self-defense case.
Yes.
In criminal context.
Yes, I understand that.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, under the battered spouse syndrome, the person would experience a trauma or a situation in which they feared harm. And based on that fear of harm, they would react in a certain way that might not be understandable to other people. So their fear is based on the pattern of behavior between them and their partner. That might not be the case for another set of people.
Now, I know that Dr. Lenore Walker is the one who first uncovered this syndrome back in the 70s.
Her research study generated the term. She was interested in why battered women specifically at first, that was what was studied, didn't leave their partner because, of course, they're experiencing traumatic events, risks to their life, but then they didn't leave. So she undertook the original research study on that.
Dr. Harper said that in her opinion, Sarah had patterns ingrained in her behavior that would be typical of a victim responding to dramatic events in a predictable way.
I'm just going to list some of the symptoms that you find in battered spouse women, and just to see if you agree with these. We talked about intrusive memories and flashbacks of the past traumatic events. You agree with that?
Yes.
The severe anxiety and hypervigilance.
Yes.
The panic attacks.
That is sometimes present. It depends on how the person experiences anxiety, but some do have panic attacks.
Very low self-esteem.
Yes.
Poor body image.
Sometimes.
feeling that they have no control?
Yes.
Sexual dysfunction?
It can be, particularly if the trauma includes sexualized attacks.
Short-term memory problems and confusion?
Yes, that's part of PTSD sometimes.
And they can actually have physical health problems from the chronic stress and physical violence.
That's correct.
On cross, the prosecutor asked,
The DSM-5 TR, I believe you pulled up narcissistic personality disorder.
Yes.
And so when you do that, it pulls up and it says there's 9 criteria and 5 of those criteria must be met to make a diagnosis for narcissistic personality disorder, correct?
That's right.
Now, battered spouse syndrome is not recognized by the DSM-5 TR, correct?
No, it's not a diagnosis. You wouldn't use it as a diagnosis.
And what I'm asking is, even though we haven't written it down in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, and I mean like the Ohio State University or something, is it written down anywhere? Can one psychologist or psychiatrist rely upon a recipe or a list of criteria that everyone else would be using in your field as well?
There is no standardized approach you must follow. In other words, sometimes if we have a statute, for instance, it would identify what we must investigate. It doesn't exist like that. There's no statute directing it.
The defense also called a few officers to the stand who had previously responded to Sarah's and George's home for calls of domestic violence. In June 2019, George was arrested for punching Sarah. And in August 2019, he was arrested after he woke her up by screaming at her, punching her neck, and pulling her hair. In his closing arguments, Assistant State Attorney Dave Cacciatore Jr. put the blue suitcase on display in the middle of the courtroom.
This is a box. This is the box where George Torres was killed. It's a small box, 28 by 20 by 8 7/8 inches. George Torres was zipped up in this box. George Torres took his last panicked breaths in this box. The medical examiner explained to us that with each breath George Torres took in, there was less oxygen in this box. George Torres was murdered in this box.
He played the video recording of George begging to be let out and Sarah swearing at him. He warned that the defense was going to list all of the grievances Sarah Boone had for George Torres.
He's going to talk to you about curtain rods. He's going to talk to you about black eyes. He's going to talk to you about what an awful, awful boyfriend George Torres was. And ladies and gentlemen, at the end of all of that, it still will not change the fact that the defendant is not entitled to the justifiable use of deadly force. Because as we continue to read this instruction, it tells us in deciding whether Sarah Boone was justified in using the use of deadly force, you must consider the circumstances at the time the force or the threat of force was used. Danger need not have been actual. However, to justify the use of deadly force, the appearance of imminent danger must have been so real that Sarah Boone actually believed that deadly force was necessary. Moreover, to justify the use of deadly force, and this is important, a reasonably cautious and prudent person under the same circumstances would have believed the use of deadly force was necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, no reasonably prudent and cautious person would believe that a man who could barely fit into this box, who was incapable of movement, who was begging for his life, who was slowly asphyxiating, suffocating with each breath, would have needed to use deadly force against him. The justifiable use of deadly force utterly fails, utterly crashes like a house of cards.
When it was their turn, the defense argued that Sarah was a victim and had been traumatized.
And the reason for the trauma is George Torres. The reason for the trauma is George Torres. From the positive things about the man that we've seen on video, to the positive things Sarah Boone has testified about, to the violent monster he becomes. And I mean monster, because it was repeatedly.
He said Sarah was dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder and wasn't in her right mind. She believed George was going to hurt her.
Her actions, although tragic, it was a tragedy, George Torres lost his life in that suitcase. It's a reactionary response to sustained trauma.
The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. The verdict? Sarah Boone was guilty of murder. She faces up to life in prison and is scheduled to be sentenced on December 2nd. Her attorney has since filed a motion for a new trial. And that's all for this episode. This episode was researched and written by Gabrielle Russon, with additions by me, Jillian Shalali. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. Join the conversation on Instagram @CourtJunkie, on Twitter or X @CourtJunkiePod, or you can email me at podcast@CourtJunkie.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time.